Hi everyone, so let's continue with the compositing part of our previously related scene. Well, as you can see, probably your renders should be somewhere here, the character lighting. I think I just put this here for you, but the name should be similarly in your images folder. So I don't want this character lighting boost exterior scene version 001 and the z-depth as well. So if you just drag and drop these into your nuke, you can open up a new nuke if you want, or you can obviously use mine as well, which is the character boost compositing exterior.nk, which is here. Let me just show you. This. Okay, so it should be character compositing exterior. That's something you can open it up. It will be the daylight, the sunrise part, and the night part. I hope by now you kind of understand this very basic comp template I'm using. It's not a big deal. You can use it as well, or you can build it by your own. For you, I won't show you to build it from scratch. I hope you can understand it. I will show you one extension though, because I forgot to do this earlier. So as you can see, these are our nice renders with the depth of field background and everywhere. As you can see, it's quite noisy. I will show you some workaround on this. Generally speaking, it's a nice test if you want to render depth of field. Well, I'm still feel it's more efficient if you do it in Nuke, but I think it's nice that you can play around with this. Okay, so let's just go one by one. Okay, so if this here, it's only our readers, our very basic readers. So this is the night lighting setup. Oh, sorry, so the daylight setup, yeah. This one is the sunrise one, and this one is the night one. And obviously we're gonna, as I told you before, the background and the foreground needs to be a little bit more integrated, right? So if you just have a look on our final outcome, I think you can easily see the difference. It's a lot nicer without a lots of specky part and stuff like that. It needs to be a little bit color corrected and stuff like this. So in this way, you need to kind of integrate it. I added a little bit of a greenish tint overall, a lot more contrast. Changed the color of the face. It was too red for me. So basically, and I also changed the aspect ratio. I think this kind of close-up works a lot nicer in a CinemaScope version. So this is our basic, and this is this sunrise part. I think it's quite cool as well. And we have the daylight setup, which is kind of like this, right? So in this way, it's a lot more integrated with the background. The background's intensity, it's a little bit more closer, even if it's not completely physically accurate, because this is a lot darker, but somehow it feels a lot more integrated, and this part is gained down a little bit as well. So let me just show you the contact sheet I was doing. Right, so something like this can be achieved. I am quite satisfied with these ones. I even fixed the noise in the bokeh as well. It's not a big deal, and I just do a basic grading and everything. And on the sunrise one and even this one, I kind of match it with our reference as well. I am not 100% following it, but I think it's not bad. So as you can see here and this one, as you can see the atmosphere here at the background, this part is a lot darker. Even the tint of the colors and this darker part, I think it's kind of matching. It's not 100%, I guess, but I think it's not bad. It's not bad overall. So that's something I matched this to achieve some sort of similar feeling. The eye highlights, it's working nicely as well. So that's something that you can play around. Right, okay. So let me just show you some technical stuff before I show you the more artistic stuff. So basically, technically, all the shots has some sort of noise in the background, right? Because of the depth of field, it's not 100% correctly. Even if you increase the A samples to ridiculously high, it's really hard to like denoise it. As you can see, this setup here, there's something I used in previous videos as well. So you can just copy and only replace this this one. Okay. So as you can see it here, that the diffuse are all fine here. So I would say it's kind of noiseless. Obviously, the problems are getting where you have some really high speculars, right? Like these ones, and even here as well. Okay, it's not really visible. And yeah, here as well, it's some coat layer that's coming from a coat. So when you have some sort of speculars, it's kind of, you can get this kind of artifact. That's a sheen layer. And that's something I forgot earlier because we didn't have it, but now we do have a transmission. Okay, so that's really important. I just wanted to show you. As you can see that this one and this one is kind of working. But if I just disable this node here, let me just disable this. As you can see immediately that something is missing from our image, right? So that's because we do have a transmission here on the leaves. Okay, so because of that, I just basically copied this setup here and I just changed it to transmission 1, transmission 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and the technical tip here is that basically you can do a median filter on this bokehs. It will feel blurred anyway, so you can just type median, right? And you can just do a very small amount of median on these ones, right? It's not a big deal, but at least you lose some details here and there, to be honest. But at least you get rid of the noise. Sorry, I get frozen apparently. Okay, it's coming back. Okay, so as you can see, that's some median, and I gained back a little bit because we are losing some of these ones. So I just decided to gain these up a little bit. Actually, doubled it. Okay, and I put a median on all these little bits where I want to get rid of these ones, and even in this transmission. Well, it should feel blurred anyway, so it's kind of fine if I do median on this. And at least this way, if I just disable these nodes here and here and here, I just select these and let me just go back a little bit. Oops. So if I disable it and enable it, you can definitely see the difference between these ones, or not. Yes. Okay. Cool. So yeah, that's a very basic setup, and these little changes I did it. And here in the cost layer, I did an artistic changes basically on nearly everywhere, to be honest with you. So nearly everywhere, I just use the cryptomat, select these metal parts, and just gain this a little bit lower. To be honest, I think I will gain this one a little bit lower as well. Oops. What did I just do? Come on. Okay, that's weird. All right. Select material, select this, and set. Okay, cool. So hold on, Control key and select this object. So I just gain this a little bit lower. Basically, all this part where, for example, if we would work in a studio, I would definitely give a feedback to the shading department that the speculars are just so high, so just so intense. So basically, I just nearly everywhere, I just decrease the spec bars, because even on this bit as well here, because it was too shiny. So overall, the whole armor is a little bit too shiny in these scenes. So that's something that we can decrease it even on the sunrise part as well. I just put here, okay, that was just the SSS changes, but if I select these, as you can see, I just decrease it back drastically, because overall this is a little bit too shiny. So that's something I would fix it in the shading, obviously. But we just move on. All right. So I have a background layer basically, and I just put a top on this one as well. You can see it here as well. And there's a new node called light wrap. So basically, as you can see it here, based on this image, I can just generate the wrap only. We get this light wrapping effect, which is, I think it's nice, and it helps to like blend these parts a little bit more. And we have this little problem in the alpha, so I just fix it here as well. You can have a look on this. So basically we have a nice background. I put some very simple ramp here. It's not a big deal again, so just a little bit of ramp, right, as you can see it here. So we get a little volume effect. Okay, and obviously our atmosphere, that's something really interesting that I was surprised about this, because if you have a look on this sunrise, or sorry, not sunrise, but this Z depth of this, as you can see it here, this is super weird, super weird. So basically what I was just doing here, I clamped it. That's something you shouldn't do really, but I just didn't want it to do a new render or anything. I also painted this part out and I created a little bit. So based on this, we can get some sort of Z-depth, but as you can see, we have some serious artifacts here as well. That's something again that I wouldn't do it, to be honest with you. So I would just do a normal render without the Z-depth, and I would do the Z-depth in comp, because I'm just putting too much extra content on the top of it, right? That's something. And also, as you know, I rendered the background in a smaller resolution, so you need to like reformat all this stuff here and here as well. So there is a reformat node here as well. Okay, so similarly, our character layer, I gained down a little bit because it was just overall too intense. The light was too intense on him. I also added a little bit of sharpen on this area, as you can see it, so it will get a little bit more sharp and it's more nicer. Just be careful, if you increase it too high, you will get these darker edges. That's something you should avoid, really. Okay, but I think overall, I think it gives you a nice extra details. Okay, and I use a light wrap node on this one as well. So basically, we get a little bit of light wrap here, and after I just put it on the top of this layer, so we get this little light wrap. It helps for integration. All right, and depending on your need, I just did lots of color tweaking, as you can see it here. Actually, it's nearly nothing. I used exactly the same notes as in the previous videos, right? So I just color corrected a little bit, added a little bit of glow on the whole image, and obviously a vignetting as well. So that's something technical, and after it helps you with the integration, because without, for example, these changes, it would be just too bright. So you need to like balance it out. Even if it's something like a dark wood or something, it needs to kind of feel that they are a part of the same universe, right? So that's something I was doing. And in the background as well, you can just add an extra layer of like nice little thing here. And obviously I can just crop this one as well. Okay, let's just move on the sunrise part. I think it's even more interesting. I just crop this here, and I added an extra layer of atmosphere here as well. And this is exactly the same setup. The only difference here, I just had a look on the SSS and on the skin, and I just decided that alright, it's too red, right? So always, like, if you have a reference, you should always like compare it, right? So if you feel that it's too red or something, you can definitely change it, right? So that's something I was doing here as well. That, as you can see, I just feel that it's too red overall, it's too contrasted. So I just kind of decontrasted a little bit and gain down a little bit of red, so it will more brownish, like this skin tone. It's something you can match it. And also here, I just decreased the bright eyes. I feel it's just too bright, right? So don't think about like huge big things, right? This is super simple. These modifications, I just highlight these ones, and even these ones, if I disable it, well, it's kind of working okay, but it's a lot more interesting if I, for example, if I gain down a lot on this back part, so its head will be a little bit more visible, right? So that's something you can do it as well. And obviously you have this nice eye highlights that you just achieved in lighting, right? But if I gain down this bit here, you will focus more on the face as well. So that's something about I did on a character as well. Light wrapping, again, not a big deal, right? Just a tiny bit. It's not even visible. Here we had an extra little effect, so I just put another sky there, of course. And this is something which is really interesting here. I just decided that this part could be a little bit more darker, so it's matching a lot nicer to our reference, right? Oops, sorry. 1, 2. So if I just turn it like that, now it's matching a lot nicer. If I just gain this to a little bit lower, right? So basically I just use the ramp, because as you can see it on this image, it's really successful, because this area, it's a lot darker. Then you have a highlighted part, and after this area, it's a dark part, it's in shadow, and you have this nice volume here. So that's something I also wanted to achieve, basically. That's why I was gaining down this bit here and just using a ramp, which is ramping this area at the background. I also changed a little bit on this node as well. So basically, if I disable this, obviously I would get a nice physically accurate Z depth to our scene, which is cool, but I just wanted only on this part here, right? So this part, which is the darker, I want a lot more atmosphere here, and I want a lot darker on this bit here. Actually, it could be even more darker. Yeah, I think it's even better if I decrease this a little bit further, right? So something like, it was 8, so something like 7-ish or something. I think now it's working even better, 75 or something, right? And after, basically, as you can see, I have no grading at all, because I just matched it nicely here and here, and I don't need any grading. And obviously, Aces will do its job and do a nice tone map on the whole image, right? And I just put a little bit of vignette here. That's actually, maybe it can be a little bit more harsh. And basically, this is it, right? So let me just see about this. So not a big deal, really, but it's kind of matching to our reference, okay? And that was our very basic lighting. As you can see, there is not a big change here. I just had a little bit more atmo here, and I gained down this bit because I think it blends a lot more, and this armor is really shiny, so the problem is the shader with this one. So why not? I just decided to gain down. Actually, I'm thinking that maybe we could gain down this part as well. Why not? Why not? For example, I think it's in the SSS, I guess. Okay, where is it? I'm thinking to gain down this bit. Let me just select this bit and also gain it a little bit lower. Let's go to the object mode and select this part. Right, maybe even this one, I don't know. Now I was just thinking that maybe even this one can be gained down a little bit. Well, you can gain down this overall. So that's similarly I was doing it here. So with all these components, it can be a little bit more dark. Obviously not this dark, of course, but something like this might help a lot. Let's go back to our final reference and let me just disable and enable it. Yeah, I guess it's blending a lot nicer if I just gain down like this. I think it's cool, so I just leave it like this. Cool. I just save this. Right, and this part is nice if it's a little bit darker. So yeah, that's something you can do it as well. Let's have a look on our night scene as well. Similarly, there is some median notes here because these were a little bit too noisy, so I just fixed it in here as well. And overall, I just gained it to a little bit darker, I guess, here. So it's a bit darker here, and obviously we have this sky color, the same approach, light wrap, all the same approach really, and some atmosphere, not much because I just want to keep it as this. And basically, apparently, I have some. What did I just do? Yeah, I do the same thing, right? The shader of this needs to be fixed in every lighting, and I've played around a little bit on these bits as well. As I mentioned in the lighting part, I already knew that I'm gonna fix this part in the compositing session. I already told you this before. So same thing, I fixed the eye. Maybe because I feel that the eye's white is a little bit too intense in different lighting scenarios. That's something we might can consider to fixing it in the shading part as well. So let me just have a look on this. So basically that's the differences on the character compositing. I just gained down this part, and I think I will do here similarly. I will just create a cryptomatte node, and I think I will just gain down this bit and this bit as well. We don't need this amount of light on this one, so I will just gain down a little bit as well. 0.7 will do its job. Little bit of sharpen, light wrap, not doing too much here. Actually, yeah, this is it. I was thinking that maybe this could be a little bit more filmic look, so I just decided that I just kill all these pink colors and just move it to a little bit more flattened and greenish. That's something I was doing here as well. As you can see, there's a lot more green. That's something I introduced here. I just lift a little bit more green to our scene, and I just gain down and contrast it down. Also, you should be able to play around with your black point and white point, which will feel like it's a film footage. I don't know. I was just playing around with these. Also, if you have referenced it like that, this is not matching because I did these color corrections, but before than that, I think it wasn't that far away from this. Obviously, this light can be a little bit more intense, like on his face. But I just decided that maybe I can do this little trick here. I think it's a little bit more interesting. And also, I was doing that's the hair, yeah, and this part as well. I just felt that these bits here, it just do, as you can see, it stands out really. So I just gained it to a lot lower, right? Good. So let me just go back, and maybe on this one I can maybe gain down these bits a little bit as well. I don't know. I just feel that. Oops, sorry. Maybe I will make it a little bit more darker. I think it's also the shading thing. If you feel that more than once you need to fix something like this, then you can think about your shader. Probably it's not set up correctly. So I think I will just gain this to a little bit lower, 0.7 everywhere, kinda. I think it helps a lot. Let's have a look on this one. think it's not bad. Yeah, maybe here they don't need that low. Something like this. Yeah, but this one, we might need it. All right, and also I erased this extra highlight. There is a super intense highlight, so I just rotate this and just gain this out, of course. And we have extra highlights anyway, this one which just works so nicely on this image, and we can have these three extra highlight which helps the eye and the audience to look here as well, because there's lots of content going on here. All right, well, this is not a good reference, I didn't really match it, but if you compare the previous render and our final with the noise, all these background bokehs, probably not all of it, but most of it, I think it just works nicely. I integrated this character a lot more to the background, I feel. So that's something you can think about in the compositing part of the character lighting session here as well. It does pop off your screen a lot. That's something I mentioned before. Probably I should have go back and fix the shading of this metal. It seems like it's too intense, right? But anyway, you can do this kind of things as well. I just feel that maybe these bits it's a little bit too bright as well, but maybe it's nicer if you gain down this leather parts as well. That's something you can think about it. Why not? Let's just have a look on this part and let's test it if it helps or not. Material, select these leather parts, and let's just gain this to a little bit lower. I think it will help a lot. Yeah, not this one, just something like this, right? So maybe it helps as well. So yeah, maybe I should have done this, right? Yeah, I think it helps. Yeah, it helps. So probably that's something we can consider doing it in the night scene as well. So basically you can just select this, copy, and you can just move it here as well. Just connect it here and connect your cryptomat to your image as well. So you can just something like this with all the lights and all these components, basically something like 85 something. We just have a look on the result. Maybe it's a little bit too dark. Actually, it's not that much here. It's maybe if you don't need it here, maybe I just leave it at 9 or something. It's not a big deal here, but it definitely needs in the other image as well. We have some nice highlights. Maybe if you want, you can erase this. I'm thinking that maybe this part, it annoys me a little. Yeah, this part is fine, but this little bit here, maybe it's a little bit too much for me. So why not? Let's just check this out. So apparently, yeah, but I might need this. So I need the roto node in this case. Hit O and connect this to the roto node, and basically just roto this bit here and gain this down. Cool. Let's have a look on this. Yeah, maybe this helps a bit because we don't need this, right? Cool. Yeah, I think it blends a lot nicer this way. Okay. Cool. I think this one is really interesting with this really harsh grading, no? Yeah, I like this green and stuff, and that's something that we lose these highlights, and also we get an extra little of greenish overall. I think it helps a lot. So here I just gain down, and here I just lifted a little bit, lifted some green. I think it's cool. All right, and I think that's the final result for now. you can play around a lot. Maybe this part can be decreased a little bit. So, but anyway, I think now you understand the main point of these ones. The main point is that in a character lighting part, your characters shading and albedos, it's not always matching the background. That's something we experienced here as well. I think it's sometimes it happens, right? The best thing is if you go back to shading and fix it, but obviously it can happen that you don't have time because of the production and because of the delivery dates and stuff like this. So you should always think about in the compositing part as well. Maybe these drastic changes, I just did it on this one. That's something you should really avoid. So that means that something is not entirely correct between your set and the character. All right, so I am quite satisfied with this, to be honest. So I think it's not bad. It's not bad at all. And also about the depth of field, I would highly recommend to avoid rendering depth of field. If you want, you can play around, but in the compositing part, it's much nicer if you have a lot more control. Obviously, you can put these kind of atmospheres in the render and do the whole rendering and stuff, but I just feel that it's a lot nicer. It's a lot nicer if you have a lot more control here. And we are just kind of lucky that, for example, these edges are not too visible, but these are artifacts here. We have artifacts here as well. So, well, if you want, you can do renders with depth of field, but just be careful with this. Right. I think this one is kind of matching our reference, so I'm satisfied with this. And this one as well. It's kind of cool. These ones as well. All right. So I hope you now understand the basics of character compositing with the set and the environments. Okay. And let's just move on. Okay. You can still play around with these. You can definitely change these ones as well. I didn't really play around with the grain and with the chromatic aberration as well. There is some chromatic going on, but I don't know, depending on the scene, that can have a little bit more higher, for example, on this one. So you get like really a lot. I think it's too much. Yeah, something like this would be just fine, I guess. It's really nice that it really helps your metal parts as well. All right. So I hope I covered everything from the technical to the artistic part. We have some new notes and new interesting challenges, such as clamping our Z depth, because otherwise it's completely useless. As you can see it here, it's completely useless. So that's something we can do it as well. That's again, never ever clamp your Z depth, otherwise you lose lots of depth information and everything. But in this case, that was like a very quick workaround. Okay, cool, guys. I hope you enjoyed this session as well, and I hope you don't mind that I didn't build up all and every little node from scratch. I don't want to waste your time on this. I think you already know how to build a setup like this, and to merge some nodes, really, it's not a big deal at all. And after, you can just export it. And basically, this is it. All right, let's continue with other videos. See you later.